Well, hello everyone. It is Dr. Siobhan here. I am so excited to be doing this live stream. I am fresh off of a little bit of weekend travel. I went to Richmond this weekend to celebrate my very, very dear friend and sister, her birthday. Not really my sister, but people always say that we look alike, and so we say we're sisters. We've been friends for over 20 years, so by now we are sisters. But I had a wonderful, wonderful time that I'm going to actually tell you a little bit more about on a different live stream and some additional posts, because it was a nice little getaway for me. And I've come home to like a house that, first of all, is like perfectly clean. My husband is very neat and tidy. I'm so blessed with that. And so he spent the weekend with the kids, and they went to go spend some time with his mother today, and they have not yet returned back home. So I was like, let me go do my live stream and talk to my peeps. And so I've got a really quiet house, which is incredible because I had a really quiet 6-hour drive. And so I'm just like in the zone of like, being able to breathe. I'm in the zone of feeling like totally at peace. And I'm excited to come to you to continue on with our conversation of the ever important question of who are you? Do you know? Do you know yet? Who are you? We've been talking about this for a few episodes of these live streams now. And today I thought I would come on and just share with you 3 ways to find out, right? So again, if you've been following this series, this is a question, who are you? This is a question that I asked at some of my live events, the Wifey Social recently. I asked this question, and I'm sitting there and you see this glazed look over people's eyes when you ask that question, like, who am I? Like, I'm a mother, and I'm a wife, and I work at this job, and I do this thing, and people's eyes are sort of like going all over the place because they're searching for an answer. And we've lived our lives so much disconnected from God, living up to other people's expectations, not really tuning in to ourselves and tuning into our Creator for that answer. And so when I pose it and when people are asked, it's sort of like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know who I am anymore because I've gotten into these roles. I've gotten into this way of life that I'm just doing what I need to do to get by, that I'm not even able to be intentional about who I am and how I show up to the world and how I want to be in my life. And so this live stream series, and we're on part 3 now, is really about answering that question, like, who are you? And it's such an important question because, and as I mentioned in the first live stream, it's an important question because when you don't know who you are, you actually never really live the life that you're supposed to live, right? Like, God came to give you a life and for you to have it more abundantly. But if you don't know who you are in Christ, if you don't know who you are in God, if you don't know who you are in your own life, then you can't really ever fully live up to your ultimate and highest potential. And so being able to answer this question is important in every area of your life. And even though I'm a life and marriage coach, this applies more broadly than necessarily your interactions with your husbands or your interaction with your children, but really in every area of your life. This is a message for every woman, right? Not just married women, but every woman. Who are you? Who are you? You should be able to have some answer to that question that satisfies you, right? If no one else, it should satisfy you. So I thought, again, that I would share just 3 steps to finding out. And the first one is ask God, right? Like, let's just ask God. He created the whole universe. He knit you together in your mother's womb, right? He knew you before he formed you, and he already has a purpose, a destiny, an expected end for your life. And so if you don't know who you are, he's the first person that you should go to. And there's so many ways to go to him, right? There's seeking him in his word. And his word actually already has a lot of the answers, right? We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are made in the image of God. And so think about that. If you know, if God has already told you that you are made in his image, what do you know about him, right? You know that he's loving, that he's kind, that he is consistent, that he is faithful, right? Think about who God has been in your life, and apply those qualities to yourself, because he lives in you, right? Through his Holy Spirit, he's still living in you. And so he's already told you that you are made in his image. And so everything that is amazing and wonderful and incredible about him is true about you as well. And so seek him in his word. Ask him to reveal it to you in his word. Ask him to reveal it to you in your quiet prayer and meditation time with him. You know, whenever I pray and whenever I meditate, I usually come to God with a question that I want an answer to. Now, the hard part for me is being quiet to actually hear, or being observant to actually see as I go about my day what that answer is. But I promise you, he wants to answer you. I promise you, he is answering you if you would quiet your mind and open your eyes to receive that answer, right? And so again, ask God, get the answer from his word, and ask him to show you, right? Like, he loves for us to come to him and just ask whatever it is on our heart to ask him. He will deliver, right? If it's aligned with his will, he will deliver. And if you're seeking him to know who you are, you better believe he will answer you. He will answer you in that question. So ask God is number one. Number two is to tune into yourself. Hi, Shanetta. How are you? Step two in finding out who you are after you've asked God is to just tune into yourself. So what are the things you are naturally drawn to do? What is it that you love, right? What are the things that when you think about how you want to spend your day that you want to be doing? Those desires, those passions are placed in you for a reason. People often tell me, they're like, when I see you on video, I can feel your passion, and it's so clear that you're so passionate about the things you talk about. And it's true, it is, but it's not that I woke up one day and decided like, oh, I'm going to do Facebook Live, or oh, I'm going to do these videos, or oh, I'm going to lead this marriage movement with wives. Like, no, that came from tuning into myself. What are the things that I love to do? I love people. I love helping people. I love talking about my experiences and inspiring people and motivating them to take action in their lives, right? And so because I tuned into myself and asked myself, like, what are the things I really like to do? How would I be spending my time if my time was 100% mine to be doing what it is I want to be doing? And talking with other people, socializing with other people were top of my list. And so that may not be the same for you, and that's totally fine. But ask yourself, like, what are the things I always find myself doing? You know, it's so funny, whenever my husband and I go out to dinner and we're at a new restaurant, I'm always like, let me look at this space. Like, is this a place that maybe I could do an event? Like, I have to reel myself in from like not planning an event like every single moment of the day. And so because I'm able to tune into myself, I take that as a signal that maybe there's something there, Siobhan. Maybe you should pursue, instead of fighting against the things that you love to do, maybe you should just do what it is you love to do and be happy doing that, right? And so again, for you, what are the things you love to do? What are the things you're just drawn to all of the time? That's another way of finding out who you are. Another way, or another question within the same step, which again is tuning into yourself, is this question: if you could recreate yourself, how would you be? Like, who would you be and how would you be if you had like a blank canvas, right? Like, now you've been with yourself for several decades. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, you know the areas that you really ultimately like to be working on within yourself. So like, imagine there's a blank canvas and like you're plopped into this new world where nobody knows you. You can change your name, you can change anything about yourself that you desire. So if you had that, right, if you had that capacity, like who would you be? How would you reinvent yourself? And I ask you that, and I want you to really consider it, because you can choose that, right? You can choose to step outside of whatever box you've been living in for your whole life, okay? Like I had a totally different, you know, path for my career when I was in college, and, you know, things have just, you know, worked themselves out that this is what I'm doing now. But this is a whole reinvention. When I talk to people who knew me many, many years ago, they're like, wow, like how did you come to be doing what you're doing now? But the truth of the matter is the writing was always on the wall. The path was already carved out for me, right? But it took me tuning into myself and what I really love to do and who I really want to be in front of you right now doing exactly what it is I'm doing, which I hope that you can feel is a true passion for me, okay? So that's step number 2. Number 1, in finding out who you are, tune into God, look at His Word, seek Him in your prayers and meditation, and listen and open your eyes, right? Number 2 is tuning into yourself. Asking yourself, how do you like to spend your time? What are the things you're naturally drawn to? And if you could recreate yourself, who would you be, right? And then number 3 is to connect with others, right? Connecting with others is actually a strategy for finding out who you are. And the reason being is that you learn about yourself as a function of how you relate to other people, right? We, especially as women, we're built for connection. And so the more you're able to connect with other people and interact with other people and see yourself in relation to others, the more you learn about yourself, right? There may be some people that you hang out with that you're like, they are just on a whole different trajectory. Like they are talking about things that I don't care to talk about. They're doing things that just don't sit well with me anymore. And maybe you have another group that you're like, man, like when I'm around these people, I feel alive. I feel validated. I feel encouraged and inspired, right? And so those are the people that for sure you need to be hanging around with. But it takes you stepping outside of your house, stepping outside of your comfort zone, meeting new people, interacting with lots of different people to really help you see yourself in a whole new way, okay? So connecting with other people is an incredible way to learn about yourself and to figure out who you are, right? Another component of connecting with others around this question of who am I is to actually ask other people how they see you, right? Now be prepared, right? Depending on who you ask, you got to ask the right people, but be prepared to hear some incredible, wonderful things and maybe some things that you don't want to know about yourself or you haven't really attended to in the way that you need to. But asking others, there's actually a lot of different terminology for this process, but it is a process of really learning about yourself by interviewing other people. Now, you don't have to go as far as making like a formal interview, but you might just ask your friends or ask those that are closest to you that you feel sort of do know you, like, what would you say my 3 most prominent qualities are? Like, how would you describe me to other people, right? Maybe they'll say you're loyal. Maybe they'll say you're funny. Maybe they'll say you're creative, right? So asking other people is really a wonderful way to get some insight into who you are and how you're coming across and presenting yourself to the world. And again, if you don't like what you're hearing, if that doesn't align with like who you want to be and how you want to be showing up, then you go back to step 2, right? Tune into yourself and remember that you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself whenever you want. The other reason it's so important to connect with other people and new people is that being around, you know, people that you may not normally interact with is an incredible opportunity to bring out parts of yourself that you may not even know exist, right? So when you're with certain people that you've always been around, you sort of like go into your comfort zone. You go into your regular roles, and this is the friend that always does this, and this is the other friend who always does this, and this is the role, and this is the seat you have at the table, right? But when you are connected to people that maybe you don't know as well, or people that you wouldn't normally interact with, it allows you to uncover new things about yourself, because you're in a totally different environment, you're in a totally different setting, right? They may not have that history of knowing you as the type of person that did X, Y, and Z back in the day, and, you know, creating that bag for you to carry all the time. Like, your load is lighter when you're meeting new people, because again, you have that openness to just, you know, really tune into yourself, and also like discover new parts of yourself that maybe you never knew before. So those are my 3 suggestions for finding out who you are and being able to answer this question of who am I. Number 1, ask God. He's already told you in his word. And if you can quiet your mind, if you can request of him that he show you and be open to seeing that and hearing that, I promise you will find the answer, right? We already know that we are made in the image of God. And so who has God been in your life? How has he shown up in your life? What do you know about him? Those same amazing and wonderful qualities reside in you as well. So that's number 1. Number 2 is tune into yourself. What are you naturally drawn to do? What do you love to do? What, you know, are the things that you can't help but do all of the time? And if you could reinvent yourself, like, who would you be, right? Tuning into yourself that way. And then number 3 is connecting with other people. We learn about ourselves in relation to others, right? Those that are similar to us, those that are different about us, different than us. Those are the experiences that help us uncover who we are, okay? Now, again, we've been talking about this question. I've been posing this question, who are you? I've shared why it's such an important question. I've shared some of the barriers that prevent us from being able to respond to this question. And then I've also just today shared with you 3 steps to finding out the answer, okay? Now, this is really important stuff, and I've gotten some great feedback, because a lot of us are in this phase of life where we're really sort of grappling with that question. Now, again, those of you who know me, you know that I don't just like share content just to share content, that I want to share content, but also help you move yourself, right? I'm a coach, so help you move yourself to a better, stronger, more confident place, particularly when it comes to answering this question. And I've been hinting at an experience that I'm creating to help you do just that. So I want you to stay really close to me, because I'm going to be sharing this week exactly what it is I have for you that's going to help you really nail down this question of who am I, right? In an amazingly fun way, because I know about myself from tuning in that I like to have fun, and I like to create experiences for people to have fun. So that's really important to me. So again, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere this week. Like, turn on all your notifications. Make sure you can get all communication from me, because I'm going to be sharing what I have created for you that's going to really help us all move forward in answering this question of who am I, right? Now, in the meantime, if you are in the New Jersey area, I would love, love, love for you to consider coming to an event that I have coming up. It's called the Wifey Social. It is an opportunity for you to connect with other people. What a wonderful way to learn about yourself, right? By connecting with new people, connecting with, you know, maybe you have some girlfriends that you need to scoop up and bring to the event, because maybe you haven't connected with them in a while either. But it's an incredible time for us as women to get together, to have fun, to have some meaningful conversations, right? That's so important these days. So important, because there's so much nonsense that we are inundated with, right? So let's have some meaningful conversation, and let's connect, right? Connecting with each other is so important, and that's exactly what the Wifey Social will provide you. It is not just for wives, because Wifey actually stands for Women Inspiring Fearless Expressions of You. It's all about living and loving without fear without fear of rejection, without fear of abandonment, without fear of disappointment and unmet expectations. So it really is an incredible time. Again, if you are in the New Jersey area or in the Philly area, because I'll be in Philly in a couple of weeks, I would love to see you there. I would love for you to join us. You can find all the details about it right here on this Facebook page. It is October 14th here in New Jersey, and then the next one in Philly is October 28th. So make sure you look at the events tab on this Facebook page, Relatable, and you can get all of the details there. And if you're one of those people who's like, Siobhan, okay, that's fine. I'm not in New Jersey. I'm not in Philly, but I got to hear about whatever you've got planned in relation to answering this question of who am I? Like, you keep hinting at this experience you're creating. I don't know when you're going to release it. I might miss it. Can you just give me the scoop right now? And the answer is yes, right? Like, I'm a pushover, of course. All you have to do is send a message on this live stream, send me a direct message, say, tell me now, Siobhan, like I need to know what you've got planned, then I will tell you. And you'll get a sneak preview for the rest of the world, okay? I will take care of you that way. So thank you so much for tuning into this live stream. I'm going to enjoy these last few minutes of quiet and be so excited to see my children when they walk in the door. And I'll be back with you really, really soon. Okay? Have a great evening. Bye.